Happiness, the state of being happy. Have you ever been at a wedding and you were just unhappy? It's okay to feel sad. You can be sad and be happy. Happiness is not a circumstance of life. It just isn't. Before we get into the bulk of the content today, I want to show something very special, and that is our new website. Take a look at this. This is practicehappiness.org, and we've got our beautiful Play Theory logo there with this wonderful website. Thanks to my brother. He's kind of a talented coder here. And look, the book, it actually moves and it opens. So if you want to try that out for yourself, test drive it, go to practicehappiness.org. You can also find other places to listen. You can listen to the podcast here if you're not as much into watching it, or you can find links to us on YouTube and subscribe and follow us wherever you listen, Spotify, whatever it is, we're there for you. Please give it a like or subscribe. We'd love to see you. I want to dive straight in today, and we're going to be discussing a simple yet complicated topic, and it is the topic of this channel, which is, what is happiness? And specifically, are you happy? Let's take a look at some definitions. I just want to go straight into Google searches because what I'm finding here is when you search a meaning online, you are getting the general consensus of everybody, how everyone feels about the word. And I think that this word is quite problematic. Funny enough, we're challenging it right here on this channel. So if you look at our original definition here, it says happiness, the state of being happy. Okay, so that doesn't give us much. So let's look at happy, what happy means. And I found a couple of problems in here, some things that I don't think are super helpful. Okay, so here we go. Feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. Feeling or showing, okay? So I guess we know the feeling of pleasure, but I think that that can be a bit of a challenge for us. Sorry, my fan just kind of went on in the middle of this. It seems like every time I started recording, either the train would go by, my computer would get super loud, or of course, the air would go on, and it's like loud. I think that's cool. I think that's a little bit quieter. Happy is feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. Okay, pleasure, that's pretty easy for us to feel. Contentment, you know, when do you know when you're content? So that's kind of interesting. And then the second definition here is having a sense of confidence in or satisfaction with a person, arrangement, or situation. Okay, so this is the definition that's really most challenging to us in this day, because this is saying happiness is a circumstance. And that is not a great way to look at things. You can only be happy when things are good in your life. Well, what about when things are not great in your life? Can you still be happy in those situations? And I believe, yes, you can. Now, let's look a little bit at what the opposite of happiness is. And I actually looked this up. What is the opposite of happy? Okay, unhappy. Happiness is the state of being happy. The opposite is unhappiness. I even wanted to react to this video. I found this video right here. Like, everyone is trying to have an idea of happiness. Everyone's trying to pinpoint that one. So this is a video that I wanted to take a look at because this was just posted 12 days ago. And this is someone who's talking about joy. I'm just going to watch the first part of this video here.
Happiness always has its opposite because it is related to your body. The opposite of happiness is sadness. You have too much of something, you will have sadness. You don't have enough, you will have sadness. So this is where, when you live in the material world, lack thereof will create misery, and too much of it will also create misery. Ask anybody who has spent their whole life trying to earn money. They will also realize that they were much better off when they had a moderate amount of money.
Going back to the classic example of your circumstance, if you have too much, you're unhappy. If you have too little, you're unhappy. And if you try to find the right amount, maybe you're kind of happy. So is it a circumstance or is it something else? Now, he said the opposite of happiness is sadness. I also don't love that definition. The condition or quality of being sad. What is sad? Should we look that up? I haven't even looked. This is the one I haven't looked up. Feeling or showing sorrow. Causing or characterized by sorrow or regret. Unfortunate. So I think that that's a part of it. Now, I want to put another thing out there as a potential opposite, which is miserable or misery. So let's take a look at that. I think that this might help us a little bit more. Still not quite there, but it helps us out. Wretchedly unhappy or uncomfortable. So this is looking at circumstances still of a situation or environment causing someone to feel wretchedly unhappy or uncomfortable. Okay, so there's a circumstance also of a person habitually morose. What does that mean? Okay, I kind of like this a little bit better. It's saying somebody gloomy, bad-tempered, uncommunicative. Okay, so someone who is miserable is someone who has started to detach themselves. Just a few more definitions here, bear with me. I wanted to go to some old dictionaries as well because they also bring some trouble to us. This is all just problematic. This is the Samuel Johnson's 1773 dictionary. Happiness is that estate whereby we attain, so far as possible may be attained, the full possession of that which simply for itself is to be desired and containeth in it after the eminent source of contentation, I don't know what that is, of our desires. Oh, like being content with our desires, the highest degree of all our perfection. Whoa. But basically it's saying it's a state where your desires are satisfied. So another circumstance situation. How about Noah Webster's 1828? The agreeable sensations which spring from the enjoyment of good, that state of a being in which his desires are gratified by the enjoyment of pleasure without pain, felicity. But happiness is usually expresses less than felicity, and felicity less than bliss. Happiness is comparative. To a person distressed with pain, relief from that pain affords happiness. In other cases, we give the name happiness to positive pleasure or an excitement of agreeable sensations. Happiness therefore admits of indefinite degrees of increase in enjoyment or gratification of desires. Perfect happiness or pleasure, I think it's unalloyed with pain, kind of like metal, I guess. That's kind of what I'm thinking, unalloyed with pain, is not attainable in this life. So perfect happiness or pleasure, at least in this belief, coming from a religious belief, it looks like is not possible to fully attain in this life. That's kind of dark and dreary. Let's talk about all of these things. For the most part, we're getting happiness comes from good circumstances. Now, I want you to think about a good circumstance that has happened where you weren't happy. Have you ever been in a wedding and you were just unhappy? Well, the wedding is happy. The wedding is a good experience. But what is your emotional state? Maybe you're thinking about this wedding and you're thinking, I wish that this was happening to me. Or maybe I wish I was at home relaxing because I've had a long day. You could say the same thing about any event. You could go to Disneyland and you can be unhappy. And we don't remember those circumstances as much. Just think about it. Have you been at Disneyland and been unhappy? Maybe your feet hurt. Maybe there were other circumstances at play here. So what I want to paint the picture as here is that your happiness is your state of being. And there can be happy circumstances. Okay, so we can have happy circumstances, we can have a happy state of being. Okay, and they can be separate. Think about the stories of our past. Kind of a more difficult one. Think about the stories that you've heard from the Holocaust. Think about those who survived the Holocaust and what their story was. Almost all of them talk about how they got through that experience because they chose to be happy. They chose to have a positive outlook. I wouldn't wish that circumstance, but you can say miserable circumstance and happy person. You get to choose your state. And it's a skill. It's something that you need to practice. So I want to give you my own definition of happiness. And this is really important for this channel. Happiness is not a circumstance of life. It just isn't. And we're going to prove that through practices. And you can experience your own practices. And you can go through the worst experiences of your life. And you can still have certain level of happiness. So here's my definition of happiness, and I'm going to give you my definition of misery as well. So this is happiness, a mixture of peace of mind, passionate, connected with community, family, and culture, content with circumstances, progression, goodness. Now you could attach all of these to a circumstance, but I think you could also go through here and you could attach each of these to your own behaviors. You can seek out peace of mind. You can become passionate about something. You can try to get connected with others. So here's miserable. Think about your own circumstances in life. When you're in a state of misery, not thinking about your circumstances, you could have the best job in the world and you could be miserable. So here's what I think miserable is: clouded mind or judgment, stress and continued stress, disconnected, solitary, angry, victim mentality. Ooh, we could do a whole episode on that one. We probably will. Stagnant, poor behavior addiction. You could throw an evil in there too if you're pursuing evil things. No matter what your circumstance is, you can have these things. And I've seen it. I've worked jobs with people. I've been at the same job, same position where I was happy and this person was complaining, victim, angry at the world, and not progressing. Now, I want just one warning. It's okay to feel sad. You can be sad and be happy. What? Sometimes I accomplish a big project at work. After that, I just kind of feel sad because I've been progressing and working towards something and it's time for me to recoup and find the next project. So I'm sad for a couple days. Okay, whatever. That doesn't mean that I'm miserable. And that doesn't mean that I'm unhappy in my current circumstances of life. I want you to answer this question. Am I happy regardless of my circumstances? And with that, we're going to end today. Remember that happiness is a skill and skills take practice. Happiness is not a circumstance. We'll see you next week.